Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth annual 5 Minute Film Festival. I am your co-host Shahin, and I'm here with my partner and co-host Kayhan.
Hello, everyone.
We want to thank everyone for joining us all summer as we celebrated everything short film. This was our first year back after a little while. I'm sure everyone can guess why. So it was really good seeing some old and new faces joining us all summer for our filmmaking workshops, as well as seeing some of the amazing content that was created all year. We had a lot of amazing submissions across an array of genres, including touching dramas from abroad, and we really mean abroad. A couple of thrilling horror, I'm pretty sure you guys will really like, and especially some fascinating documentaries. So join us today as we go through our top 5 picks for 2022. All right, so our first film this year, and this is kind of a special one. This is a film by Nick Kastanis. He is a
Previous submitter.
yeah.
Of
So
5
in fact, a big winner at some of our last galas.
2 awards.
Yep. So this year he has submitted the film Knock Knock. So let's learn a little about Nick first. So Nick Kastanis is a young cinematographer, actor, dancer, and director. He has worked on countless short films: Goose Spit, Table for Two, Love Steve, which was our big winner.
That's the one that won the 2 awards.
Yeah, if you have a chance.
2020.
2020, that's right. If you have a chance, seek that one out and watch it. It's phenomenal. And is currently working on more projects. In a couple of years, he hopes to direct and produce his first feature film. So here's hoping you achieve that, given what we've seen from you so far. So this film is Knock Knock. And the synopsis goes, after hearing a strange noise coming from his basement, a young man finds out he is not alone. So let's go ahead and watch that one. Okay, so that was Knock Knock by Nick Kastanis. What did you think, Kanan?
I thought it was technically an excellent, excellent film. As we mentioned earlier on, Nick was a previous submitter to 5 Minute Film Festival. In 2020, he won 2 awards. I loved everything about this film. Technically, it was incredible. In some ways, I think he did a much better job with this film than with the previous film, Love, Steve, from a technical standpoint. A couple of notes that I wrote for myself about this film. I loved the attention to detail, the creaky chair and the door opening. So, and then the floor creaking, just really, really nice sound effects. Great sound bed. Technically, like I mentioned earlier, technically a huge upgrade from his previous submission, in my opinion. Although I did love the topic, although it was a little bit, of a serious topic with Love, Steve, about the suicide, the whole issue of suicide or teenage suicide. The one thing that I also noticed about this film was the quality of the footage was amazing. So he obviously must have used, probably like a DSLR or something, like a way better upgrade than previous. Mm-hmm. What did you think?
I agree with you with a lot of things. I think Nick sort of outdid himself in this one in terms of an audio-visual point of view. A wonderful film, his masterpiece, let's call it. As you said, the Love, Steve film, the narrative was probably stronger. This was more of, I would say, sort of we've all seen the what's in the basement monster type, but it was Nick's rendition of it. And I think this was a good vehicle for him to showcase his cinematography and his directing and technical skills. So the audio was phenomenal, very clear, the mixing of it, when he's scratching on the carpet, the knocking that feels like it's coming from elsewhere. It's not like he just banged his desk, to get that shot. The lighting, it's beautiful. Especially my favorite part was the stairwell as he's coming down. Beautiful silhouette with, the contrast is there.
I did actually note that the lighting in this film was excellent. I love the lighting.
Overall, I would say it's an amazing film. Definitely stood out to us as soon as it came in, not just because we know Nick is a great filmmaker, but, we sat down and watched this one a couple of times. We thoroughly enjoyed it each time, I would say. Yeah.
Great horror film, suspense, whatever you want to call it, just in time for Halloween. Yeah. So it's perfect.
Yeah. All right. So let's
move on.
Move on to our next film. All right. So for our next film, we have Thorns by Andrea Bougiouklis. Andrea Bougiouklis is a 21-year-old author and filmmaker from Toronto, Ontario. Specializing in field spanning from writing to directing, her ability to grip an audience and guide them through the intricate worlds and stories she creates is next to none. Interesting. So Andrea submitted Thorns. This is a film about a pain and a suffering so deep that it cannot be seen, an understanding of the unknown. Despite a fear of the past, the story of a woman, not of her ghosts. This film is directed, written by Andrea, cinematography by Sarah Sideri, edited by Sarah Sideri and Andrea, and starring Maya Brown and Leo Combs King.
okay? Hey. How the fuck do you expect shit to get better if you're not gonna change? What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you even listening to me? Where are you going? Hey, what's this about? What do we talk about? Hey, come on, what are you doing? Shit. You're impossible, you know that? You're just impossible. Jesus. How the fuck did you even come? Huh? What the fuck is this? Is this some sort of peace offering or something?
Yeah. Maybe I'll finally be able to get some sleep.
All right, another great horror, thriller, suspense film submitted to us this year. Kayhan, what did you think?
I thought it was an incredible film. Just a couple of things that I jotted down for myself. Beautiful camera work, beautiful cinematography, like the framing, everything, the focus pulling and the bokeh effect and just everything. Like camera work was excellent. Amazing lighting. Like lighting, once again, just like the previous film, was really good. The excellent mood music and sound effects. Once again, it adds to the whole thing. One little critique that I noted for myself, I love, as we were commenting while we were watching, I loved the colorization or the color grading of this film. I felt like that kitchen scene. Now that I'm being a little bit nitpicky now, because I love the color grading when she was like all in blue and all that, like that shot. I felt like the color grading probably could have been a little bit more moody for that kitchen scene, but that's just like a little personal thing that I just noticed for myself. But what did you think?
Again, same thing. The cinematography was phenomenal. Probably my favorite so far.
Yeah.
The camera work was excellent. We had this amazing POV sort of style going throughout the whole thing. You kind of felt like you were actually there in the corner, just experiencing it, going through her journey with the way the shots were filmed. The colors were amazing. The blue I had felt like sort of despair. The red was a bit doom, and it was like this transformation that she was going through, flipping through the channels, and suddenly it goes red.
And I actually commented while we're watching that now that I saw this film, for future films that I'm going to edit, I'm really going to focus on color grading, like every single scene, like just get the mood, get everything right. But this film, the color grading was excellent.
Yeah, it's amazing what you could do by just putting a color filter. You know, there was two scenes where it was just one was blue, one was red. You know, with the outline silhouette of the character, but it really did a lot of the speaking, a lot of heavy lifting in that scene. There was no necessary need for action or props or extra characters. It was just the color did all the talking.
Well, we tell our stories visually, right? That's what filmmaking is. The other thing that I noted for myself was excellent quality footage, right? So they were obviously using a really good lens, a really good DSLR camera, or maybe even a red or a black magic. Who knows? We don't have all that information in the credits, but great audio. Overall, just had most of the elements of a great horror/suspense film. And I'm going to say kind of reminiscent of that Alfred Hitchcock school of suspense, where it's like leading you to the very end and you just don't know what's going to happen. And it's just kind of like you're on the edge of the seat sort of thing. So,
I got to say, in terms of from a technical point of view, my favorite scene actually was the pouring of the wine in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And she pushes the cup forward, and the way that it goes from the bouquet to the snap focus, phenomenal work.
Nice little attention to detail.
Whoever shot that, great work on that one. Yeah. And as you said, in terms of a suspense into the screenplay, very good. It kind of led us all the way to the end. I'm still not sure exactly what happened. We do know there was, some blood there, and it was probably his shirt. So who knows what she did? This might have been her ultimate transformation. Yeah. And something bad happened to our friend, but hopefully there's a sequel that we can kind of figure out what's going to happen there. Yeah. So another wonderful film from our horror and thriller category. So great job to everyone involved.
Just in time for Halloween.
That's right. Yeah. So go and check it out. Okay, so for our next film, we're actually going to steer a little bit away from the horror and the suspense into something a little bit more visually pleasing. Well, for some, I would say. For others, probably not. And when I say pleasing, from a cinematography point of view, camera work, lighting, this is one of our best submissions. Amazing film. But I would say content, some people...
It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
Might find there a little bit of goosebumps coming up. But overall, this is going to be a really good one. This one is Majuscula from Emma Matern. Emma is a multidisciplinary artist, designer, and filmmaker. She feels inspired by things in nature and the human experience. Emma loves to embrace and explore what's around her and expanding her filmmaking skills by taking workshops and seeking opportunities to create film. So what is this film about that we're about to watch? Majuscula is an experimental documentary featuring Bean, the female giant Australian rainforest mantis. That's starting to explain it. The short film suggests that all life is intelligent, surprising, and instinctual when one takes the time to appreciate it. This film is directed, written, shot, and edited by Emma Matern, and it stars Bean. So let's go ahead and watch this beautiful masterpiece. All right. Who's in the mood for some lunch after that one? This was Majuscula by Emma Matern. So, as I said, very interesting documentary that was submitted to us. Very interesting subject, I would say.
Yeah, not everyone's cup of tea, like I said earlier.
Yeah, with Bean, our little giant praying mantis. I believe I hope I got that right. So fascinating, I would say. Very well done from a technical point of view.
Yeah.
What did
Not
you
my
think?
favorite subject matter, obviously, like as I mentioned, but an excellent introduction into macro filmmaking. Like from a technical standpoint, the cinematography, the camera work, just the macro, filmmaking
Yeah.
that went into this was incredible, right?
Sure, yeah. You could tell they knew their lens work very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. You mentioned the use of colors while we were discussing as we were watching. I agree. Like, I loved all the vivid colors that this film provided. A lot of, with Bean's body being green and in his arms, I guess is what you call them, brown, and then lots of purples kind of in the background. So very interesting colors going on
I
here.
think the colors juxtaposed with this very strong bokeh
Yeah.
is what was very interesting for me
Yeah.
because it was like colors coming out of the sea almost in a way where they were isolating themselves very well. It was like, as weird as it sounds, it was like a rainbow of green.
Yeah.
With Bean being green and his surroundings being green, but everything is like a sort of a different shade of green.
Yeah.
But they do a really great job of the lighting and the contrast so that each green stands out on its own. As well with the bokeh, it comes into the forefront. So that's one of the great advantages to doing sort of macro.
Yeah, the bokeh for me also, like you said a moment ago, it really made Bean stand out from the background. But the fact that even though the background was kind of thrown out of focus, just all the beautiful, vivid colors and all that was incredible. One of the things that I also said, if you recall, some films work in black and white. I don't think this film would have worked, had it been done in black and white. It was just an incredible kind of introduction into, I don't know, the insect world, I guess, right?
What did you think of the audio? This was
the audio, that was one of the things that I jotted down for myself. That was a real big standout for this film. Excellent music, audio, the great sound effects. It really added everything to this film. And as a matter of fact, now that we've probably seen this film 3 or 4 times each. Now that I look back, I think without some of the audio choices, the sound effects, I don't think it would have been the same type of film.
It was an immersive nature documentary that you would expect from that point of view, especially when we're shooting that close to the subject. You want to feel like you're actually there. So some of like the cricks and the noises that were coming off of potentially Bean's body and his surroundings, while also this sort of muffled background noise that was also there gave you that depth. Yeah. So they did a great job of
kind of always there in the background sort of thing.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think we both kind of can agree on is we felt that the film could have been maybe just a little bit shorter.
I think so. I mean, this is coming from somebody who watches a lot of like the BBC Earth documentaries. I think we all would love a David Attenborough talking over it. Wasn't necessary, but the fact that there was really no driven narrative on this one, after a while you sort of, like, okay, I get it. Maybe, but overall I would say is
another excellent example of excellent filmmaking.
Yeah, we have. I think the theme for this year is excellent cinematography.
Yeah,
everybody's kind of coming in with their A game in terms of that. So, okay, let's move on to our next film. Okay, so for our next film, we have another documentary called Holding Hands. This is a film by Rael Kimboma and Maria Truta. Couple Content Creators is comprised of just that, a couple of content creators, both passionate about creating beautiful visuals. This is the first ever short film produced by Rael and Maria. So this is a 5-minute documentary that explains love from 5 very different points of view. So this was a different type of documentary that we just watched. One was in nature. This is a really good social documentary that I think you guys will really enjoy, especially the message. I think it's the complete reverse in some ways of the previous one, where now we're letting the subject do the talking and the narrative do the talking kind of thing. So this is directed by Maria Truta. It is written by Maria Truta and Rael Kimboma. Cinematography by Maria Truta. Edited by Rael Kimboma. So let's go ahead and watch this film.
Be serious, Pips! We're gonna try and Annie, don't say the poo-poo's on.
What does love mean to you?
I feel like we all have our own meaning of love.
Love is something that I would like to have next to me or with me to my daily day.
Love is when you really care about someone or something.
Caring about something, but caring about it almost to the point where you wouldn't be able to live without it.
Feeling something that is existent but not tangible.
My son described Nathaniel. That's the description of it, but I loved it, and I can use it. It's like when you hold somebody's hand, or holding somebody's hand is also like being there for that person, helping that person.
How do you know it's love?
It's like an energy. I don't know how to explain it honestly, but
You have a feeling that it just feels like you're doing like something that like is the best in the world.
No matter what you think, your heart can decide otherwise.
When that person makes you feel as good as in your bad days as it's in a good day, then I think it is love for me. Because then if I could be with you when it's raining, and I could be with you in the sunny days, you know?
It's almost like a piece of your heart is missing or a piece of you is missing without that thing or that person. What's the hardest thing about love?
If the other person doesn't know how they want to be loved, then it's gonna be harder for you to love that person.
Compromise, I think.
is to trust. Trust the person you're with. Trust that the person that you're with, again, it's gonna be loyal to you.
When you love somebody and you tell them to keep and you tell them that you're gonna keep like a really big promise or something like that, and then that's the hardest because you don't know if you can actually keep it.
We don't control it. We barely understand it, actually. Being vulnerable makes you being exposed.
Do you think love can cause suffering?
That's the downside of it, being like loving someone, being vulnerable, and then being hurt.
Suffering is the balance that helps you experience the good aspect of love.
You care so much for another person and their well-being and their happiness that even when you're not suffering because you love somebody, and if they're suffering, you can suffer with them.
Love is a powerful weapon. Like, you can use it for good and you can use it for bad. If you have bad intentions and then you know what you're doing with love, then you can cause damage, for sure. That's why so many R&B artists make good songs when they have breakups.
What does it mean to love yourself?
You really like yourself.
Having time for yourself and whatever you need in that moment, either consciously or unconsciously. You might not know you need it, but it's that thing that once you do it, it brings you joy, it makes you happy, and you feel whole again.
To think about your benefits, not insecurities.
You took the time to hop on the journey of knowing yourself.
As long as I try to make myself happy, it helps me to love myself at the same time.
It's doing what you love. It's doing the things that you love, being with the people that you love. We also say that taking care of yourself mentally and physically.
Anything I would add about love is that I don't think you really get it.
We might need to take two.
Okay, so that was a film that I think speaks to all of us, really. Very touching documentary that kind of gives us some light into how people feel about love and something that's so dear to them and how it affects their life. Yeah.
Good messaging. I mean, what can you say?
Yeah.
Right? Love is the universal thing.
Really,
So,
yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was quite interesting. It seemed like a very good way of getting a sort of perspectives in this film. There was a lot of good, quick cutting in between each one. Very well shot. The audio was very clear. The lighting was great. My favorite portion, I guess, was with the person on the tree.
Yeah.
We were talking about how, it's very difficult to get good lighting outdoors, especially. But it was a beautiful use of also, we've been talking about strong contrast throughout our film so far, and this one was sort of on the opposite end of that spectrum.
Subdued.
It was a very subdued contrast, which you see a lot more, especially with like the filters, like on social media when people post photos and videos. There's a nice flat contrast, which actually really worked with this shot. It helped emphasize the fact that it was almost kind of like a sunset, maybe not a direct sunset, but a diminishing light atmosphere behind them.
Well, and just the shape of the trees too, right?
Yeah.
Like very unique trees. I don't think I've ever seen trees kind of like U-shaped like
but
that.
it framed the character very well, so it was a great use of the surroundings of what you've got.
I wrote, excellent topic, obviously, and underlying messaging. I mean, once again, love is a universal thing that we're all kind of striving for, right? In all of its various forms. Excellent documentary. We don't really receive too many documentaries, so it was actually quite refreshing that this year we received two. The one that we just saw previously. You mentioned about the audio quality. They really paid attention to this, and you can tell, like, the kid on the tree was, lapelled properly and all that. I wrote down love, no pun intended. I loved how the filmmakers used also the various demographics and age groups. And I think you mentioned it in the
five very different points of view.
So I loved how the filmmakers, because once again, love is universal, right? It's not just for adults, right? So, how we have kids and we have teens and we have adults all represented in this documentary. I just thought it was a nice touch.
I think the directing was done well as well. I would sort of nitpick if I had to. I think the consistency sort of dropped a little bit towards the end, and not to be too harsh on it. A little bit with the editing, with the gentleman talking towards the end and getting cut off a little bit abruptly. But I did like the sort of the superimposed B-reels, especially with the lady talking and crying. That was a really good way to emphasize, what she was feeling, to get it from sort of a different point of view.
I think we're referring to the same scene where that gentleman was driving the car.
That one as well.
And my heart was just like I forget exactly what he said at the moment, but then it just kind of cut into kind of like a happier kind of mood music and all that. And then his audio kind of cut out. So I wrote that down as just one little minor critique. But I love the film. I mean, overall, once again, we don't receive a lot of documentaries. So this was quite refreshing to receive.
Yeah, wonderful stuff from couple content creators. All right, folks. So I did mention we have some drama in terms of categories, I would say. But one of them is from abroad. And when I say abroad, I mean, quite a distance away from the Pickering Public Library. This one was submitted to us all the way from Iran, which thank you for doing that. Good to know we have a bit of a global reach.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, last year, it was a Polish filmmaking crew that won Best Film and I think Best Cinematography.
That's right,
so filmmaking crew from Poland.
Yeah, so it's good to know we have some great filmmakers all around the world, and we have some fans all around the world. So thank you for that. Our last film is Dinner Intended for Two. This one is from Bahram Akbari. Bahram Akbari, 38 years old, holds a bachelor's degree in theater and writing on a radio show. Selected at the Theater House Playwriting Festival in Tehran with the play Black Sunday of the Year. 10 production shows on Glass Night Radio, Zero Border Point, In the Color of Exploitation. So this is an interesting film. This is Dinner Intended for Two. It is about a young couple who have agreed to separate and divorce. Their only child is challenged on the subject. This film is directed by Bahram Akbari, is written by Bahram Akbari as well, cinematography by Hussein Baghban, and edited by Iman Komijani. This one is going to be one of our shorter films that we got this year. Every year we get a little bit of one or two that are really in the spirit of the 5-minute film festival. We've had some films that are 30 seconds. Some of them are a minute. This one's a short one as well. It's about 1:40. Yeah. But I gotta say it's one of the best produced ones in terms of from a cinematography and writing point of view. So let's go ahead and watch this one.
And so much story packed into that 1:40.
Yeah.
So as you're going to see.
This is one of the most jam-packed films that we've selected this year. So let's go ahead and watch this one and see what we think.
مدیر کل همکاری‌های فراسازمانی سازمان فناوری اطلاعات میگویند سرانه تسهیلات اشتغالزایی برای هر نیروی جدید 100 میلیون تومان.
بفرمایید آقا.
الو بابا
کجایی تا؟
برای چی انقدر به من زنگ میزنی؟ نه تو گوش کن. ما توافق کردیم مسئولیت بچه فقط با منه. بله.
Well, that was, as we said, a pretty jam-packed film. 1:40, but felt like years worth of story in there. I gotta say, one of my favorites for sure.
I would say probably my favorite.
Probably, without sounding too partial towards any particular film or bias. I think we both sort of, when we first watched this film, and it came early in the submission window, we both sort of looked at each other like, yeah, this was an amazing film. I think top to bottom in terms of, the camera work, the dialogue, sound editing, the coloring, just everything, the story, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
The one thing as we were talking, as we were watching, I loved every element of this film from a technical standpoint. You did the laundry list, the lighting, the colorization. In particular, I love the color grading and what I mentioned, kind of like that flatness of the look of the film. Yeah. And you mentioned something about Persian cinema kind of looking more like that these days.
That's right. So when I saw this, having watched plenty of, especially modern Persian cinema, it felt like it came straight out of a high production Persian film. That's the quality that was present in this film. Yeah. I could have sworn I was watching it in the theaters. I was watching it at home, a full length film. And it's interesting, the storyline, for some that may have seen this, may be familiar, it's almost, not to speak for the director, but it's almost like an homage to Iranian director Asghar Farhadi, who recently won an Academy Award a couple years back for a film, The Separation. So it's kind of the same thing. You know, it's the story of this husband and wife who are going through this very ugly divorce and how it affects those around them.
So you just reminded me to watch that film because that is on my watch list.
Yeah.
That's a film that I've always been wanting to watch and I never have. So now it's going to be the year to watch it.
I strongly suggest it. And, you know, this is not to say maybe it's an homage to that, because the topic that they're talking about is something that's unfortunately quite prevalent.
Yeah.
And the way it's dealt, you know, especially in Iran, is you could see it unfolding in something like this.
Yeah.
So it's not like they took the idea from Asghar Farhadi. This is something that is very out there in society right now, in Iranian society. So they did a great job in a minute 40 of just taking all that and representing.
You knew exactly what was going on.
Asghar Farhadi did it in 2 hours. Yeah. You know, they did it in a minute 40 and with amazing quality of that. So
yeah.
I mean, I
like
could
we
keep going.
said, great camera work, great cinematography. One of the things that I wrote down for myself, good quality footage, you know, probably shot on a red or black magic or even maybe an Aeroflex or something like that. Good lighting, good color grading. It just has all the elements of an excellent film. The one thing that I wrote down for myself about the ending was it was kind of scary in a way, kind of creepy, jarring, because the divorce obviously had such a profound effect on that kid, but just seeing him, you know, how his reaction with holding the knife with the fish and all that.
Yeah, I like the brutality in a way. It's almost justified, you know, because then it really paints, it kind of takes you back through the film and it says, this is the impact that it had on this child. You know, as you said, the way he was gripping the knife and stabbing it, it's like, that is very grotesque stuff, you know, from a child, but that's what they've been put through. So they were able to demonstrate that story to us perfectly.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure, probably our top favorite
I would say
pick of this year. But we really want to say, you know, a great job to everyone. And if you're watching this, send as much love and show as much love to all our filmmakers this year. Everyone from top to bottom did a really great job. If you don't see your film in here this year, but you did submit it, great job to you as well. I think we just picked our top 5 favorite. That doesn't mean that, you know, other films that were submitted were not good or great. We had some phenomenal films submitted throughout the summer on a wide array of topics. But big credit goes to everyone who participated with us this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty much a wrap. We hope to see you guys in the future in 2023 for 5 Minute Film Festival. 2023 version.
2023. And keep making films all throughout the year. Don't just wait for us to give you the go-ahead. We have a lot of talent out there all over the world, as we saw today and previous years. So, you know, if you got a camera, whether it's in your pocket or you have black magic, just go out there and
go out and make a film.
That's right. And thank you to all for watching and have a great one.